I used to know when Sandy was coming to visit me by the sound of her footsteps coming up my garden path. It couldn't not be anybody else but Sandy. And it's things like that that one misses. You know, we had a blast of a time together. And it's not there anymore.
Well, for me, she was a nice girl that showed up in a bar, was always very cheerful, took her duffel coat off, was still wearing a nurse's outfit from when she was working, and if she had any money, she'd buy you a drink and give you a plate of spaghetti. She was that, to me, more than anything else, you know.
I had been away, I think, with Cat Stevens, like constantly touring for a long time, and really had moved away from that world, if you like, and then Sandy sort of asked me to come in and play on the track, you know. So it was like a delightful thing to do. Although I confess I was so nervous, I can't tell you how nervous I was. I can't say. I just was. Whatever's going on in your head at the time, your own condition as a player. I think that the experience with Cat Stevens, the whole megastar thing, I think it turns your head, and you just become somebody else, and your lifestyle becomes something else, and it's very difficult to deal with, I think, and I don't think people deal with it very well. And so I felt like I was a bit messed up. That's how I felt. You know, in my head it should have been straightforward just to go in and record a track. But you're only as good as what's going on up here, so I think the track was all right. And I suppose in some ways it doesn't matter what's going on in your head at the time. You're playing as you're playing. You know, I don't think people outside of that sort of say, oh, what's wrong with him? It's just, you might not be feeling very happy or something, but you're still doing what you do. So my recollection of it is I wasn't personally that happy when I was recording it. In fact, she knew that I was suffering a bit, and she came up to me quietly and she said, are you all right? You know, she cared. You know, the sort of things you remember.
I remember going to one concert of hers at the Queen Elizabeth Hall, where she had the band rehearsing all day. She hadn't rehearsed with them before. She had Dave Mattax, she had Dave Pegg, and Jerry. Oh, come on, fuck it. Jerry Donahue. Sorry, Jerry. I kept wanting to say Conway, and it was just nonsense. Jerry Donahue. And that band, they rehearsed some really complicated arrangements. They were so complex, these arrangements. And during the course, I mean, the evening was a disaster. Really was. The band, they tried their best, but they were so under-rehearsed. The only person who didn't fall over once was Jerry Donahue. That man has a memory like blotting paper. Once it went in, it stayed there like that. And Dave Mattax and Dave Pegg, I mean, they're monstrously good players who do not forget, but even they, you know, the performance was so on edge that even they stumbled a couple of times. And she rescued that concert by standing up, by walking on the stage to do an encore, and she stood up and sang something unaccompanied. And it was, I don't even remember what it was, but it was fabulous. It might even have been the Wild Mountain Time. It was something like that. And it was sensational. And she pulled victory literally from the jaws of defeat that night. And it was worth waiting, you know, worth waiting, because there were some people who left. It was worth waiting till the end of the night just to get that. When she was on top form, she could just haul a band along behind her, and they just did everything she wanted.
The thing that I heard early on after joining Fairport, the turn of phrase I heard, and I forget where I heard it, was taking the music seriously but never taking yourself seriously. And that one really kind of stuck. And I think she subscribed to that. I mean, Richard is the same thing. Okay, very professional, but if you've heard him talk in between numbers, you know, it's genuine, it's great, it's wonderful. And the moment that song starts, there's no doubt what's going on. There's no doubt about you. We all know exactly what's happening with the song. And I think it was like that with Sandy. You know, the moment that she started playing and that song started, we were 100% about the song. The song would stop, the mood changes, and you know, because you can't. And that's not to say that songs can't be jolly and everything, but I'm saying that it's that thing. It's you know, okay, music serious, but we're not up there going, I can't possibly. You know what I'm saying? I've always been suspicious of both sides. I've always been suspicious of the total thing being like that, and I've always been very suspicious of, you know, because neither of them. Neither of those for me ring true. That one's never rung true, and that one's never rung true. But to be serious about the music when you're sitting, singing it and playing it, and then to try and bring some light and pull people in between those songs, and I think she did that as arguably as well as anyone else. And yes, like I said, occasionally maybe it kind of, you know, the line kind of fell over and she'd fall over something, or, you know, I mean, that happened. Oh, God, sorry. You know, and then she'd giggle and everybody would forgive her, and sometimes they wouldn't if maybe, you know, she'd had a drink or something. But generally speaking, that's how I saw it. And I'm sure there was a couple of occasions where maybe I was being a bit too professional, and I think, oh, get it together, or why couldn't you have tuned that guitar before? Or something like that. But you know, she was very hard. You have to be very cold-hearted not to just you know, to have a hard time with her. You know, and I've worked with people who are considered to be more shambolic than she ever was. You know, and I think that at the end of the day, if again, for want of a better corny phrase, if you really deliver, I'd like to think that people on the other end, they kind of know. They can, you know, I think even people who wouldn't call themselves music fans have a subconscious bullshit detector. They can tell when someone's faking it, and she never faked it. She never faked it. She was always the real thing. You know?
And to this day, I can hardly listen to her. If it's particularly good, I'll just start weeping. To this day, and it's a long time ago now that she died. I can't answer questions like that.